Okay, so one second, guys. Okay. All right, so I'll proceed, guys. I'm trying to confirm there's somebody trying to join, and I've not been seeing the person on the group, so I'm trying to avoid allowing people that are not on the group on the meeting because we had to follow who's responding for her. Why is she not responding? Okay. Okay, so I'll proceed, guys. Sorry for the delay. All right, so let me quickly proceed. All right, so today we are talking about quality assurance in hospitality management. And the reason why we're talking about quality assurance is because for most people, this will be the very first time you are having to deal with quality assurance in the hospitality space. Now, it is very important that we talk about this because a lot of the things you build around service, around performance, quality assurance is supposed to be the foundation on which these things are built. So this class would deal extensively on why it is important that as hospitality persons that are growing, as managers, as supervisors and heads of departments, we have clear understanding of what quality assurance is. So I will jump quickly into this as we take it up. Now, the objective of this class, this model aims to equip hospitality managers with knowledge and practical skills. And now, so basically, this particular training is supposed to equip you with knowledge and practical skills on quite a lot of things. So please, for those of you that I'm just admitting, let me say this, please. This might actually be a free training, but I am trying so much to understand why people will join classes 5 minutes late. It's understandable if it's network, but I've seen that quite a number of persons are in the habit of joining this class late. And I'm asking, if you paid for this class, would you be jumping on the class late, or you would just avoid the class and ignorantly do nothing about it? It is not nice. And that's why I said today I'm going to take people off the class. So I want you to prove that you attended the last 2 classes. It doesn't make sense. We can't be managers and we are not disciplined. And we talked about this when we're doing onboarding. If you're not free, send a message to the admin or myself. Let me know that social persons are not free. So please, after now, I'm not admitting anybody to this group again, and anybody that is not here today, once I take them out, we won't bring them back on the group. We are almost done. We've done 2 weeks. We have 2 more weeks to go, and we are done with the class. Okay. So please, so that nobody keeps taking us backward. All right. So This model aims to equip hospitality managers with knowledge and practical skills to understand the principles of quality assurance in hospitality, design, implement, and monitor quality assurance program, ensure compliance with brand and operational standards, measure service and operational performance using KPIs, continuously improve service quality and operational processes, prevent service failures, and maintain consistency across departments. Now, by the end of this training, managers will be able to lead quality assurance initiatives, ensure compliance with standard, and drive excellence at every guest touch point. Now, at the end of this training, these are the things you should be able to do. I will not, stay too much in one space, so I will quickly try to run as fast as possible. Now, let's understand what is quality assurance. Now, quality assurance is the foundation of operational excellence in hospitality. I'll explain everything you don't understand as we go on. Now, guests expect a consistent, reliable, and memorable experience every time they interact with your property. Now, there's a level of expectation that every guest has. Now, when people walk into your facility, for most of you that have very beautiful brands, when people walk into those facilities, they have certain level of expectations. Now, quality assurance is that thing that ensures that the hotel delivers what it promises every single time. So it means quality assurance, it's a bedrock, it's a foundation. It's like, it's the base in which you build all your service deliverables. Now, without quality assurance, service is inconsistent, guest complaint increases, brand reputation suffers, revenue and loyalty decreases. Now, so without you putting quality assurance in place, now quality assurance is the bedrock on which you build consistency. Now, so somebody would ask, why are we talking about quality assurance? Now, quality assurance is simply those things that you've documented, you've agreed upon and said, this is the standard in which we want to operate with. Now, that is quality assurance. Now, quality assurance is what helps your SOPs to start. And please, can someone drop a message on the group that anybody that hasn't joined this class by now should not join again, please? All right. Sorry about that, guys. Please, the late joining of the class interrupts the whole process because I have to pause the class, come and admit you, and come back to the class. So please, let's understand these things. Nobody is trying to return to you, please. Okay. So I said here that quality assurance is the foundation of operational excellence in hospitality. And I went ahead to explain that, guests expect a consistent, reliable service when they walk into your property. Quality assurance is that thing that will help you to maintain consistency in your service. So as we proceed, we would get to understand how you get to put quality assurance together. Now, but there's a key point here, which is quality assurance is not an inspection after the fact. It's a proactive system that guarantees excellence before the guest even notices. Now, so quality assurance is when you sit down and have an agreeable standard. Now, yes, there's SOPs. Now, this agreeable standard is discussed between you and the owners of the business, that for each department, for each service or each touch point, this is what we want to see every time. Now, I will just quickly go ahead and just define quite a number of things. So we put all this together so that most of you that, are grappling will grab very fast. So let's look at all the definitions that surround quality assurance. So number one, we talk about quality. Most times we use word very often, and if we're asked to really define what that word means, might lose context. Now, but we have to put this together so you get to understand what we are talking about. Now, quality. We said here that quality is the degree to which a product or service or experience meet or exceed guest expectation. It's a degree to which a product or service or experience meet or exceeds guest expectation. That's what quality means for us here in the hospitality space. Now, let's put it together. Quality assurance. Now, when we talk about quality assurance, we are talking about a systematic approach to monitor, evaluate, and improve all hotel processes to maintain consistent high standard. It's a systematic approach. First, to monitor. Secondly, to evaluate. And thirdly, to improve all processes to maintain consistent, high standard. So what it means is that while you set your SOPs, there needs to be a system that monitors the SOP. There needs to be a system that evaluates the SOP. There needs to be a system that seeks to improve whatever you're currently doing. And that's where quality assurance comes in. So quality assurance is not just when you develop an SOP. It's when you develop a process or a system that monitors the SOP and ensures that there's implementation, there's evaluation of the SOPs to ensure that the SOPs is effective. And there's also a system that seeks to improve on an SOP. Now, let me give you guys an example. Now, when we say you put a quality assurance in place and it's a system that monitors and evaluates. For an example, if before now you run a hotel that, you know, when people come to see a guest, they will tell you the name of the guest and you call the guest room and tell the guest that somebody is looking for them. You know, where quality assurance comes in is where you can look at that system and say, okay, is it effective enough? Can we add something that makes the system more watertight and more effective? So you can now say that when people walk into the hotel and are looking for a guest, they have to call the guest and the guest has to call the front desk to confirm that somebody is looking for them. That's what quality assurance does. Quality assurance helps you to be able to monitor every system you put in place, evaluate the functionality and effectiveness of those systems, and also seeks to improve those systems if they are not working effectively as they are supposed to do. That's what quality assurance does. Now, let's look at quality control, because all these things comes together when we are talking about quality assurance. Quality control is simply the operational techniques and activities used to verify that services standards are being met. So what this simply means that when we talk about quality assurance, we are talking about a systematic document, a systematic process that seeks to guide, seeks to monitor, then evaluate. Then under quality assurance, we have what we call quality control. And quality control is where you verify that the service standards you put in place are being met. So what it means is that when you set quality or when you set a certain standard in your SOP, there needs to be, you know, a process that monitors it to ensure that it is effectively done. There needs to be something that you put in place to evaluate that this thing is being done every time and not done occasionally. Then you need to have a quality control that ensures that these things are put in check and that the standards that we seek to meet, you know, are being met at every point in time. So we've talked about quality, we talked about quality assurance, and we've also talked about quality control. So understand these three different things. Now, we said when I started that quality is the degree to which a product or service, you know, or an experience meet or exceed guest expectations. And I talked about quality assurance, and I said it's a systematic approach that monitors, evaluates, and improves all your processes to maintain consistent high standard. Now, what does quality assurance seek to do? Quality assurance seeks to ensure that that service that you've put in place is not a one-off thing. It seeks to ensure that that service that you want to achieve is achieved consistently, is achieved every time with the level of quality you want it to be achieved. That's what quality assurance seeks to do. So quality assurance, it's about ensuring that your service quality is consistent, your service quality meets and exceeds guest expectation. That's what quality assurance is. And still under this quality assurance, we had to train standard operating procedures, which we've talked about since we started this training. And we also said here that these are documented instructions to ensure consistency and compliance in daily operations. Now, I also took time to, define what continuous improvement is, still under quality assurance. I'll put all this together so we understand where we're going to. Now, I said that continuous improvement is an ongoing effort to enhance services, processes, and guest satisfaction. If you walk into a system, or if you work in a system where you don't seek to improve people, you don't seek to improve the system, one day you become moribund. One day you just wake up and the owners don't want you again because you're not initiative, you're not seeking to improve the system. Most time, for most of us, once we get to a particular level of service delivery, we just feel we've arrived. You must seek to ensure that whatever standard you've gotten to, seek to look at what can be done that will be better than what you're currently doing. That's what continuous improvement is all about. Then, most importantly, there cannot be quality assurance without key performance index. And so we talk about the KPIs. Now, KPIs here simply means measurable values used to monitor quality and performance across all hotel departments. Measurable values. What are those things that are used to measure that this your standard that you put in place is actually working or actually not working? Now, so when we talk about KPIs, as a manager, as a departmental head, you should be able to develop those measurable values, those things that will track, performance, that will track that service, to be sure that that service is actually being delivered and the customers actually feel the impact of that service that is being delivered. Without KPIs, you cannot monitor quality. Without KPIs, you cannot even set standard and monitor standard. Now, let's talk about audit. This particular audit, is not, financial audit. This is service and process audit. So we said here, now a formal review of hotel operations, processes, and compliance with quality assurance standard. Now, it means that every point in time, maybe quarterly, monthly, bi-quarterly, you need to be able to audit your operations, processes, and compliance with quality assurance standard. You need to ask yourself, you need to draw a document that checks every of your service to be sure that those services are actually delivered to the best of the hotel's, standard, and that they actually meet, whatever that service was actually outlined for. Now, so we have looked at all the definitions here. So I'll please, all these people that still want to join this training by this time, it is well. I will just continue. All right. Okay. So let's continue, guys. Now, why is quality assurance important in the hospitality space? Why are we talking about quality assurance? Now, so let me make this clear to you. Everything we are talking about here in the course of this training actually has an importance. Now, for most of you that are new to management, most of the things we are talking about might sound very strange. But in the course of doing your duty, or in the course of doing your operations, you get to understand why these things are very important. In the course of carrying out your day-to-day job, you will get to understand that most times you walk around from morning to night, but it seems like you're not doing anything because you're not putting the right processes in place, and you're not checking to be sure that these right processes or these processes are functioning the way they are supposed to function. I tell every manager, you see, when you find yourself doing nothing, it means you're lacking behind. There's always something to be done. But when you don't know what to do, that's when you find managers that are very lackadaisical because they don't know what to do. So, but let's look at the importance of quality assurance in hospitality. Number one, now quality assurance helps with consistency across operations. Now, so let me repeat this again. I've seen that the numbers in the training today have increased, maybe because of training people. But I've also seen that some people still join this training 10 minutes, 20 minutes after we've gone. I'll re-emphasize, this is not proper. This is not proper, and this will be the last time. Today, after this training, I'll remove people and have people join back again for those of you that are here. But after today, the next 1 week that we have, or 2 weeks, when you join the class 10 minutes or 5 minutes after, we will not admit you and we'll take you out from the class. Please. Okay. So, importance of quality assurance in hospitality. Why do you need to understand quality assurance? Number one, quality assurance helps in maintaining consistency across department. Now, so let me just read this. Guests expect the same standard regardless of time, department, or staff. Quality assurance ensures SOPs are applied consistently. One of the things that quality assurance helps you to do is ensure that that service quality that you put in place, that SOP that you put in place, is being applied, is being monitored, is being evaluated. And I've said it during the last slide that you see, it is not just to put these processes in place. It's not just to create an SOP. How is it applied? How is it evaluated? How is it monitored? This is where quality assurance comes into place. Now, let me explain something to so you understand. Quality assurance is a document that guides your SOPs. Now, what that means is that once you develop an SOP, you now have to have a quality assurance that is agreed upon. So quality assurance is an agreeable document that you guys form between yourself, the owner of the business, and all the departmental heads. And you communicate it to staff that this is what we've agreed to do, that in every department, we've agreed that this is standard that must be met every time, irrespective of who is on duty, who is not on duty. And you must put perimeters in place to ensure that those service standards are met at all times. Now, so quality assurance ensures consistency across departments. Number two, brand reputation and loyalty. Now, quality assurance ensures high quality service Let me explain this before reading. Now, one of the things that quality assurance helps you do, it ensures that your brand has high positive reviews, because once you set a standard, and that standard is achieved across board, that standard, irrespective of who is on duty, that standard is maintained across board. What it will do for your brand is that it will grow your brand's reputation. So customers will know your brand as a brand that says and act what they've said they will do. So everybody knows that when this brand promises that this is what they will do, they actually do it and stay true to it. So one of the things that quality assurance helps you to do is that it helps to build your brand reputation, and it helps to bring repeat guests. So it helps to create loyal customers, because the customer knows that at whatever time they come for business, that the service will still be the same, irrespective of time, irrespective of department, and irrespective of who is on duty. The brand, the business of the brand is still the same. So one of the things that quality assurance helps you to do is that it helps brand reputation and actually ensures that you have loyal customers that keep coming back to your brand, because they know that the service will be the same anytime, any day. So you enjoy good reviews, you enjoy repeat business, and you enjoy loyal customers. That's another thing that quality assurance helps you to do. Now, number 3, quality assurance helps operational efficiency. Now, we said here, quality assurance identifies inefficiencies, bottlenecks, and areas of waste, improving productivity and cost effectiveness. One of the things that this does is that by the time you've outlined all your service qualities, or all your SOPs in all departments, and you now say, okay, this is what is achievable across board, irrespective of who is on duty, it must be achieved. And you now set your KPIs. For each of the SOPs you've done. What it will do is that it will help you to achieve operational efficiency, and it will help you to identify bottlenecks and areas of waste within the system. Number 4, quality assurance helps in employee accountability and motivation. QA clarifies role. Now, so one of the things you notice in some brands is that you walk into a brand and you see maybe 2 people replicating same roles, or bearing different names, different positions, but at the end of the day, they are doing the same thing. For an example, you walk into brands where the general manager and the operational manager are doing the same thing. That's clearly because nobody has been able to set KPIs to say, okay, this is the KPIs that govern this particular role. This is the KPIs that govern this particular role. The GM, the general manager of a brand, and the operational manager of a brand cannot have the same role. They cannot be doing the same thing. But you walk into certain brands and you see that most of these people are replicating roles, because clearly nobody has been able to define set performance levels for them. Nobody has been able to set KPIs for them. So one of the things that quality assurance does is that it helps to clarify roles, set expectations, and promote pride in work quality. That's another thing. So these are some of the importance of quality assurance. Number 5, now quality assurance, there's consistent service quality that leads to higher guest satisfaction, higher occupancy, better average ADR, and increased ancillary revenue. So I'll take that again. Quality assurance helps in revenue protection and growth. So I'll explain this so you guys get to understand. Now, you see, when we talk about consistent service quality that leads to higher guest satisfaction, now it's simply you understanding that the more customers are satisfied, the more you get to make more money. It's a simple logic in the hospitality space. When your service is consistent, the customers will enjoy it, the customers will talk about it, the customers will refer people, and customers will pay more. So when service is good, customers don't argue more, or customers don't argue, a lot about why the room is costed at that amount, because they have satisfaction. Now, when a customer has satisfaction, with the kind of services and the products you're offering them, they talk about it, they refer people. So you have your revenue is protected. So you have revenue that is protected, you have revenue that is stabilized. And when you have a revenue that is protected and stabilized, growth is inevitable, because it's definitely grow. Because the business will promote itself, your reviews will promote the business, the customers that are satisfied will also promote the business. So at the end of the day, you enjoy, higher revenue, you enjoy higher occupancy, and your revenue at every point increases, because you've been able to secure your service with what we call the quality assurance that we just talked about. Number 6, regulatory and compliance assurance. Quality assurance ensures that the property meets legal, safety, and hygiene standard, reducing liability and risks. Now, one of the things quality assurance helps you to do is that when you start, talking about quality, it's across board. Let me explain that. Now, you see, quality assurance, it's a promise you make to the customer. It's a promise that service will be delivered and delivered exceptionally at every point in time. Once you make such promises to customers, you will check all the parameters. What I mean by that is you ensure that the food quality is good. You ensure that that food quality is good, like I said, number one. You ensure that service is delivered to the customer on time. You ensure that even the hygiene, the things that are delivered to the hotel are delivered in a good and very hygiene manner, just to ensure that the customer's health is protected. So these are some of the things that quality assurance helps you to do. And once you are able to do these things, what it helps you to do is that even when you have government regulations, legal issues, it will not affect you because you've been able to meticulously navigate these things and pay attention to these little things because you have a quality assurance system, a quality assurance document in place in your facility. So I'll quickly move. So let me slide. All right. Now, let's talk about principles of quality assurance. Now, number one, these are, when we talk about principles, we are talking about some of the things that guide quality assurance. And number one is guest-centric focus. All quality assurance activities should aim at enhancing guest satisfaction. So let me explain that so you understand. Now, when you talk about quality assurance, what are the things that guide or enhance quality assurance? Number one, you must ensure that everything that everything about quality assurance, it's about the guest, enhancing the guest experience, ensuring that the guests are repeat customers. So all your process that you are developing around quality assurance should be tailored towards the guest, because at the end of the day, if you do everything right and the guests will not work, you don't have guests in the hotel, it should have been a wasted effort. So what we are saying is that all quality assurance activities should have enhancing guest satisfaction. So what you do is that when you dissect all your services, you ensure that every of your process is tailored towards ensuring that every customer service that you put out there, is actually very satisfactory, and it's done, day in, day out. Now, one of the mistakes that facilities make is that we have staffs. If we have, let's say, 30 people in the F&B department, you might have only 5 or 10 that can run with your quality assurance, agreement, or that can run with your SOPs. If you have that in place, it means your quality assurance system is not effective. Quality assurance is that thing that ensures that every staff understands the processes and understands the end result of every processes. Number two, still under principles of quality assurance. Now, for quality assurance to work, there must be proactive monitoring. Now, it says here, prevent service failures before they occur rather than reacting. One of the best things that your facility can do is you must preempt issues. Look at all the parameters that can bring up issues and try to ensure that there's proactive monitoring, not reactive monitoring. Proactive monitoring is when you evaluate all situations that can make a guest complain, from room service to housekeeping to food to F&B. What are the things that can make customers complain? And you put them out, analyze them, and look for a way of making sure that these things do not even happen. That's proactive monitoring, ensuring that before these things occur, somebody has preempted, somebody has put things in place. So that's why your checklist is important in every department to ensure that these things do not happen. Now, number three, standardizations, documented SOPs and checklists for every department. One of the things that guides and ensures that you create a good quality assurance system in your brand is ensuring that all your processes are documented. So you must have documented processes for every department. You must have checklists for every department. No matter how small that thing is, you must have a checklist. What the checklist helps you to do, it helps you to ensure that these things are proactively monitored before it gets out of hand or before something bad happens. So you have a checklist that everybody gets to see every day and ensures that things are put in place before it actually gets out of hand. So your quality assurance cannot work if you don't have a checklist or if you don't have documents that guide all your service processes. Number four, measurement, and evaluation. They can't be quality assurance if there's no measurement and there's no evaluation. Now, what we said here is use KPIs. Every of your service must have key performance indexes. Your breakfast service must have key performance indexes. They are set performance index in such a way that as customers are walking into the buffet point, they should be able to experience from the welcoming, should be nice, to the variety of food, to the experience, so how people respond to them at the restaurant, to even as minute as water service. Customers should be able to experience something very unique. And one of the best ways to know if those things are working is that you must have a system that enhances the customer's feedback. So at the end of the day, when customers are done eating, somebody should be able to get feedback from them. So you know if the process you're putting in place, if people are actually enjoying it or they are not enjoying it. If they are not enjoying it, you can switch. Now, so that's why we said you must use KPIs, key performance index, to be able to track if that particular service quality that you're trying to put in place is actually working or not working. And there must be audit. We've talked about this. There must be consistent audit to check that these things are being done well or they are not being done well. So we said you use KPIs, audit, and inspection to quantify quality level. So you must be able to use audit. You must be able to use inspection to see if this thing is actually working the way it's supposed to work. Number 5, continuous improvement. I've already talked about continuous improvement in the previous slide. These are all the things that ensures that your quality assurance is watertight. You must ensure that you regularly analyze performance gaps and implement corrective actions. There's nobody saying that your staffs will not make mistakes. Definitely your staffs will make mistakes. Now, but your ability to continuously seek to improve them is one of the things that will help your quality assurance. So there must be ways that you seek to improve your staff. Let me give you an example. You might have a staff that is not good in, let's say, calculations, but is actually good in service. What you just need to do is rearrange that staff, change that staff to a space where that staff is good with, and bring somebody else into that space. Just because somebody is not good in one particular area does not mean that that person cannot be good in another area. You just need to seek to know what this particular person is good in and try to see how to twist that person and bring the best out of them. But you cannot do that if you don't continuously seek to improve the people around you or the staff in your space. Now, so you understand this. You see, not every staff as Dundee as we think they are. Most times it's because we've not tried to, test them with something else. That's why it looks like they're not performing. So most times as managers, you must seek to know where somebody is doing well and not doing well. That falls under continuous improvement, seeking to see where this other person can fit and where this other person cannot fit. So you know how to best bring out the best in people. That's one of the things that quality assurance talks about. Number 6, employee engagement. Self-involvement ensures quality assurance is practiced consistently. Now, staff involvement, sorry, not self-involvement. Staff involvement ensures quality assurance is practiced consistently. When we're talking about SOPs, I had said it that one of the things that will help you in your organization is when you're able to ensure that the staff are involved in your processes. When you make people involved in the process of setting up the SOPs, you bring them into a briefing and talk about the quality assurance, what they intend to achieve. It helps to ensure that they run with the vision. So one of the things you must learn to do is must ensure that you engage your staff. So you cannot achieve quality assurance if staff are not involved in the whole process. Now, understand this. Not all of them might like the whole idea. Now, but if you have, let's say you have 20 staff and 11 of them run with the vision, run with the flow, sooner or later, few other people will join, and the rest that don't join can be sent out of the system. But one of the things you must not fail to do is you must not fail to involve staff when you're talking about key performance index, when you're talking about standard operating procedures, and when you're talking about quality assurance. Because when they understand the reason why these things is being put in place, and they understand these things are not done to witch hunt them, they will definitely run with it, and the brand will definitely, benefit from it. Now, let's look at quality assurance implementation process. How do you implement QA, quality assurance processes? Number 1, define standard. So number 1, we have here step 1, define standard. So we talked about the standard operating procedure. One of the things you must do when we are talking about quality assurance is that you must define standard. Every standard must be defined. Identify critical guest touch point. Understand that quality assurance should be guest centric. So everything about quality assurance is centered around the guest. So number one, we said identify critical guest touch points. What are the critical points that your staff have interface with customers? Now, those are the first things you should talk about: food area, drinks area, front office, laundry, housekeeping. These are critical touch points. What are the service qualities you want to see? Now, it says here, determine service standard. Now, when you define, when you've been able to identify the critical touch point, what you need to do next is define the service standard that you want to see. Now, this service standard can be hygiene, can be grooming, and also operational excellence. What do you want to see? It has to be clearly, defined. These are the processes of, implementing, quality assurance. Document SOPs for all the departments. We've already talked about it. Rooms, F&B. So you must first of all get touch point, then determine the service standard, then document SOPs for all the department, and try to make sure that your SOPs are not cumbersome. It should be something that your staff can read and have easy understanding. Number two, communication and training. So for you to be able to, implement quality assurance, there must be clear communication, there must be training. So it says here, train all staff on quality assurance standard. So when you are developing these things, you don't just take it and dump it on the staff. You must properly explain and teach them so that you understand that, so that they understand the reason why this thing is being done. Because most of the times when you bring up trainings and briefing, most staff will think that you're punishing them. They are supposed to be somewhere. So you must make them understand the reason why these things are being done, the end result, and how everybody stands to benefit from doing this thing. You must drive it home, because once you understand these things, they run with it better than somebody forcing them to actually do this thing. So you must train all staff on quality assurance standard. Demonstrate expectations using role play, visual aid, and SOP manual. So you must demonstrate expectation. What is expected of them? What is expected of every service SOPs that you're putting out there? Now, it also says here, ensure every employee knows why standard matter. I keep saying this. One of the things that will help us, or will help help you in implementing this thing, is that you must ensure that before you start talking about any standard, you have explained to them why every standard or why every quality assurance that you're trying to put in place actually matters. So it means that you don't just throw document on your staff. You must explain to them why it actually matters, why the company is introducing those things, so that they don't see it as somebody is burdening them or putting unnecessary load on them. Now, number 3 steps: measurement and monitoring. Establish KPIs for quality. I had said this when we started this training. One of the things you must do is that all your service touch points must have KPIs. KPIs are not hard to develop. Thank God for AI. Now, if you say KPIs for waiters, it will come out. KPIs for waitresses, you see them, then you edit it. KPIs for laundry people, KPIs for front desk. So you can Google all the KPIs you want, move them into a document, edit it, add what you want to add, take what you want to take out, and you can have KPIs for all your services. So I'm expecting that as departmental managers, operation managers, you should be able to, guide your standard operating procedures with KPIs. KPIs also ensures that your quality assurance processes are being implemented properly. Now, develop what we call the guest satisfaction scores. For all the services in all the units, you must have a guest satisfaction score. How does the guest rate our welcoming? So you have a document that the guests can just... Now, one of the best ways to get feedback, so let me just say this, is ensure that your feedback process is not cumbersome. So you must develop a feedback form or a feedback equipment or tool that is very easy for the guests to just tick or whatever, something that is not cumbersome, and have someone that can politely engage customers to give you feedback. Now, most times, customers don't know why they need to give you feedback. Most people just think that they just need to do it because you want to maybe grow your online reviews. No, you must make customers understand that feedback actually helps to improve the quality of service. And so they must be somebody that can politely engage customers to give feedback. From the front desk, the bar, the restaurant, when customers know that you take feedback seriously, they will fall in love with the brand because they know you pay attention to every details in the brand. So you must have what we call a guest satisfaction score for all your services, be it at the bar, be it over the phone. Guests should be able to rate your your external and internal call abilities to see if you're actually doing, what you promised the guest that you do. Room inspection scores, they should be daily, weekly room inspection scores. So you should be able to itemize things in your room that you score: the cleanliness of the bed, the way the bed was tucked in, how the bed was smoothened, the laundry, the linen, how sparkling it is, the curtains in the room, how clean they are, the ceiling, the fans, the dusting of the room. There should be room inspection score. So you should be able to score everything in the room on a scale of maybe 1 to 10. So when you walk into a room, your staff should know that every time maybe the manager or the supervisor comes to the room, this is the perimeter that is used to score the room. They would, once they understand that there's a perimeter that has been put in place, they will definitely sit up, because they know when you walk into the room, you don't just look at the room and walk away. You know what to check, how to check, and you know how to pay attention to details. F&B audit scores. So the same thing for F&B, or the same thing for room, is the same thing for F&B. Now, one of the things you must learn to do, you must ensure that you put a process that the guests can rate your staff by the speed at which they attended to them, how they walk them to a seat, how they help them to sit, how they help them to pour drink, the quality of the service when it comes to food service and drink service, their wine knowledge. You must have an audit score, that. So once in a while, what you can also do as a manager, you can walk through your service floor and engage customers, make them understand that this review is very important. If you do that 2-3 times in a week, you would be able to build a review bank, for yourself and for the organization. Now, complaint ratios. Now, as an organization, one of the things you must do is that you must implement, complaint ratios. How many times do guests complain in a week at the front desk? How many times do guests complain in F&B? Now, what's the ratio of good complaint to bad complaint? You must be able to set those parameters across every department. This will help you to know if your department is doing well, if your department is doing well. Now, is doing well or not doing well. Now, what this will also help to do is that it will help you to scale how each department is performing. So is housekeeping doing very well? Is laundry doing well? Is F&B doing well? Is the front office doing well? But if you don't have these things in place, you'll not be able to do anything. So you must have what we call the complaint ratio put in place. Complaints across every department on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and on a monthly basis. So at the end of the day, you're able to see how far the company did on a scale of good and a scale of bad. It's very important. Now, one of the things you must do, still under step 3, which we are talking about measurement and monitoring, is that you must ensure that there's a service recovery process, a proper service recovery process. Now, let me explain this so you understand. Nobody's saying that, with all this, that there will be no service lapses in the brand. But one of the things you must learn to do is that for all the departments, you should analyze how service can go wrong. Now, put all the parameters together and see how to deal with every service failure. If food is delayed, what can be done? If the customer said that food is bad, so you must solve this problem with your staff before you even start and tell them, if this happens, this is how to do it. What you're doing is you're ensuring that with or without you, when there's a service failure, they can recover very fast without having to start calling you to know what to do. So you must ensure that for all your departments, you set this service recovery, perimeters to ensure that whatever goes wrong, your staff understands what to do and what not to do. Cleanliness score. This is one of the things you must do when we talk about measurement and monitoring. There must be parameters to measure your cleanliness, smell of room, how the room sparkles. There must be different parameters in how you check, your cleanliness scores. Then we talked about conduct daily, weekly, and monthly audit. Now, these are all the things you need to be able to audit, when we talk about quality assurance. When you do this, trust me, the quality of your service will definitely improve, and you're on your way to stabilizing the service. So your staff know that every time there's an inspection, every time a manager walks into a space, the manager expects this level of performance and this particular level of service. Number 4, still on how to implement, quality assurance, auditing and evaluation. Now, you must be able to do internal audit conducted by a quality assurance team and managers. You must be able to do, internal audit. Now, this internal audit is not the financial internal audit. This internal audit is where you audit your services, you audit your processes, you audit how well your processes, how well your standard operating procedures is performing, if it's doing well or if it's not doing well. Then we also have the external audit. Now, the external audit is where you can send mystery guests to come and check, audit your services. So somebody else can tell you their experience from, the point of a guest. Because most times you can rate yourself so high because when you walk out and the staff see you, they pretend. So you might assume that your brand is doing very well. Meanwhile, in the eyes of the guest. So you must ensure that you view the brand from, the guest perception, and try to match with your own perception and see if the perception tallies. Because most times we assume in our head that we are doing well, and from the outside point, we are not doing well. So oftentimes, as a manager, oftentimes as a departmental head, you need somebody else that is not biased to evaluate your service, and the person can tell you the truth. So when we talk about brand external audit, yes, it can be through a mystery guest. It can be done by iOS, so most times you need to bring in a body to just come and do an independent check, to be sure that your standards actually meet the required standard, or your service standard is actually what is competitive. Now, so we have internal audit conducted by the team, and we also have external audit. Like I said, which can be done by another brand, which can be done by a mystery guest, which can be done by an organization that is standardized. But before you bring in iOS, yes, that means you want to step up your brand maybe to a very big level. So that's when you bring in iOS. Now, we also have what we call self-audit. Now, self-audit is where departmental heads evaluate their own operations before quality assurance checks. So this is where you evaluate your own operations. So you put all your operations together and ask yourself if you're doing well. So you scale yourself, maybe on a scale, you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, just to know if your brand, if your department is performing well. Before somebody else from outside, rate you, you must be able to conduct, self-audit. So we are talking about, the different types of audit that will help, to help you to know if your brand is actually in the right path to implementing quality assurance. We talked about internal audit, we talked about external audit, and we talked about self-audit conducted by, departmental heads. Now let's check number 5, corrective and preventive action. Identify gaps or non-conformant. Now, one of the things you must learn to do is that you must learn to identify gaps. As a manager, as a departmental head, every day when you get to work, one of the things you look out for is gaps. You must intentionally look for gaps and areas that your people are not conforming. So you don't just walk around and say you're doing well, well done, well done. You must look out for every little thing that looks like there's a gap. You just walk past your staff and they are pressing phone when they should not be pressing phone, that's a gap. You just saw your staff that is wearing a slippers or wearing a shoe that does not conform with the brand's color, you talk about it, that's a gap. So as a manager, one of the things that helps you to implement quality assurance is that every day you must look for gaps. It's like you're looking for fault. Every day you must look for gaps. That's the only way you can standardize the system. Every day you must look for gaps. You must look for areas that your staff are defaulting. Even when they are doing well, this is one way you keep everybody at alert, understanding that this is the standard the brand should perform at every point in time. Implement corrective actions immediately. As a manager, as a supervisor, one of the things you must learn to do is that when you spot something bad, correct it immediately. Yes, you don't necessarily need to shout on a staff in front of a guest, but you can excuse a staff and mention something that they're not doing well. What you're doing is that most times after that, you would have forgotten. So it will help the staff at that moment to understand that this particular thing they are doing is not good. And going forward, that's not the standard that is expected of them. So implement corrective actions immediately. Also implement preventive measures to avoid reoccurrence. When you correct the staff, when you correct something, one of the things you must do is tell them how to do it and how not to do it to prevent reoccurrence. So you don't just tell them, don't do it. Now, when you tell the staff not to do something, also find a way to tell them how to do, what to do in those circumstances, so that you would have prevented a reoccurrence in that particular area. Now, the next one is document every action for accountability. One of the things you must do as a manager is that when you solve a problem, when you close a gap, go and note it down somewhere. Let it be in your report that so week we did this, we noticed a staff doing this, we took this action, this was the corrective measure. It will help you and help the brand so that in case of subsequent action or subsequent issue reoccurring, every other person knows how to actually go about solving that problem. Now, number 6, continuous improvement. We've already talked about continuous improvement while we started. He said here, internal audit conducted by quality assurance team, external audit. Now, all this audit is aimed toward ensuring that there's an improvement. One, there's an audit is supposed to spot where there's no conformity. So once audit is done, the result of the audit should be that whatever area each department defaulted, there should be corrective measures, there should be a turnaround situation. So audit is supposed to help the department to identify areas that are not doing well and areas that seeks to be improved upon. Now, so this is some of the implementation process that you need in place. Now, so let's talk about quality assurance tools and system. What are those things that aid you to be able to implement a proper quality assurance system? Number one, which we've been talking about since we started this training, is SOP manuals, comprehensive, easy to understand instructions for every task. We talked about that since we started the training. Number two, checklist, daily room checks, public area inspection, F&B service audit, kitchen hygiene and stock checks. These are some of the things. That's number two. Number three, mystery guest audit, external evaluators pose as guests to identify gaps. One of the things you must learn to do in your brand is that once in a while, you must bring in people to test your services, evaluate your services, so you know if there are gaps. Most times, even as managers and owners, and consultants, you might get too used to the system that you don't even know if there are gaps. So oftentimes you need somebody else, you need a fellow manager, you need a fellow, maybe consultant, to walk into your facility and give you an idea of what you're not doing right or what you're doing right. So external evaluators pose as guests to identify gaps. You really need that as part of the tools to help you, implement a good quality assurance, system in the organization. Number four, feedback system, both surveys, online and offline, comment cards, social media monitoring. These are tools that will help you in setting up a good quality assurance system. So these are tools and systems to enhance your quality assurance system. Number five, KPI dashboard. Now, let me explain this. We said here, centralized dashboard for monitoring quality performance in real time. All your system, so if you don't have it, it's something you must learn to do. Your system must have a centralized KPI dashboard that monitors all your services. So even if you want to do it in an Excel sheet, have a dashboard that monitors your services, front office services, check-in services. Every day you must add your rating. How many guests rated our service to today? How many guests rated our bar service? So there must be a dashboard that consistently shows you how you're doing across all your services in your department. The breakfast that we did today, how many guests commended it? How many guests liked it? What is it the guests did not like? There should be a dashboard that shows you how you're doing on a daily basis and how you're doing on a weekly basis. That's what we call real time. That's what we call real-time performance. There must be something that shows you if you're doing well, if you're not doing well, and that's where your KPI dashboard actually comes into play. Now, number six, we have corrective action logs. Now, record of non-conformances and solutions implemented. I always tell managers and departmental head, when you solve a non-conformance is when your staffs are not doing what they are supposed to do and you corrected it. Every time you correct a non-conformance, let it be noted somewhere. Now, take a record of it so that when maybe those kind of a thing happens again, somebody can look back at the logbook and see how this particular issue was handled at whatever time. So there must be a corrective action logbook that is kept to ensure that for every action that is corrected, it is documented for future references and future purposes. Now, let's look at quality assurance across department. Now, this is example of what quality assurance looks like across all the department. Now, because if we speak all this grammar and we don't break it down into simple, identifiable processes, most of you might be lost, So now let's look at room service first. For room service, this is what we are looking at for this is what quality assurance looks like for room service. Now you can expatiate this, you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, but this is what it looks like. Now it says here cleanliness, bed making standard, room inspection. Now, so when we talk about quality assurance, these are maybe in room service, these are the things you outline. What's the level of cleanliness you want to see in the room? Now, have you stated the bed making standard what are the standards of bed making that you put in place, so that when a staff enters a room, they know that this is how to set the room and this is the outcome. So there must be level of cleanliness well stated. There must also be bed making standard well stated. Now, you must ensure that your staff understand that when you come into the room or when anybody is inspecting the room, these are the things they look out for when room inspection is taking place. Now, there's what we call, so there must be an SOP that guides all these things. Turn down service. Turn down service is actually that service that happens in the evening. There must be an SOP for it. Minibar, if you have a minibar, there must be an SOP for it. What is the replenishment process for a minibar? Amenities placement. How are your amenities placed? All these things must be clearly spelled out in your quality assurance document or in your SOPs. Now, inside your quality assurance, you must also have what we call the KPIs, Key Performance Index. Now, the Key Performance Index would carry these things. Room inspection score. What are the things you check when you get into the room? You must score everything in the room according to, the agreed score. You must score the bed making, score the mopping of the floor, score the smell of the toilet. These are all the things that helps to check if this room was done to the level in which you guys have, expected. Complaint ratio. So for room 2, there must be a complaint ratio analysis, form or chart that, every guest, when a guest checks into a room, a guest can feel maybe how was the room? Did it smell nice? Did you like the way the bed was made? So at the end of the day, you can call this form and see if the customers actually rated your room high or the customers actually rated your room very low. Now, let's talk about F&B. So this example of what the quality assurance looks like, a quality assurance document looks like in housekeeping. Now, in food and beverage, now your quality assurance document will talk about plate presentation. How is the food presented to the guest? So presentation is very key. What is the quality or what's the portioning level that is agreed upon by the company? So your quality assurance will talk about that, portion control. It will talk about hygiene. It will talk about the serving standard. So in this one document, it will talk about presentation, it will talk about portion control, it will talk about hygiene, and it will talk about serving standard. This serving standard will cover everything. Where the customers, where the staff stand to serve, where the staff stand to clear, how is the food presented when they take it to the table. This, quality assurance would actually take care of all these things. Now, still under quality assurance, this is how your SOP will look like. Menu presentation. How is menu presented to the guest? How is the kitchen clean? What is the service etiquette for everybody in the system? Now, these are these few things that will go into your quality assurance, processes. Now, what are the KPIs? Your KPIs for F&B would center around guest satisfaction. Don't forget that we've said that quality assurance is guest-centric. That means everything you do around quality assurance is centered around the guest. Now, your key performance index for F&B has to do with guest satisfaction. Was the guest satisfied? What was the timing? Was the guest okay with the timing? What was the timing of delivery? Now, your key performance index needs to carry all these things. The food temperature, compliance, all these things needs to go into your KPIs. The feedback after the food was served, these are all the things that definitely goes into your KPIs for F&B. We talked about engineering. Engineering is actually your maintenance. Now, under your quality assurance in engineering would have to do with facility maintenance, preventive schedule, hazard check. So what we are saying here is that for you to be able to have a system that has less complaint, your maintenance has to be preventive. So you need to develop a system that works with preventive maintenance. What that means is that you need to have a checklist for all your equipment and facilities that checks them and has scheduled servicing, just to ensure that you don't wait for these things to break down before it's being worked on. Now, when you implement this kind of a system, now it has to be agreed upon by the owner. Now you need to sell this to the owner in such a way that they understand that preventive maintenance helps to improve, the quality of service and reduces complaint, and also help the company to, reduce a lot of expenses. Because truth is that when a facility breaks down or an equipment breaks down, the money you are definitely going to spend to fix that facility will be more than the money you would have used to service it and prevent it from breaking down. So you need to be able to sell this quality assurance process to the owner so they understand that a lot of the things around this quality assurance centers around preventing a problem from happening rather than solving a problem that's already happened across all departments. So we'll talk about engineering, we're talking about facility maintenance, preventive schedule, HVAC checks. HVAC checks here is all about your cooling system. Now, what this means is that you need to be able to develop a check that, gives a timeline for all the equipment around the HVAC system to be serviced. The same thing with your TVs, the same thing with your cables, the same thing with everything that has to do with maintenance, your kitchen equipment, your laundry equipment, your elevators. There must be an agreeable timeline that these things are serviced, and there must be a check of these things on weekly basis, just to ensure that you meet this quality assurance that we promise to the customer. Now, what are the KPIs? Your KPIs for maintenance or for engineering should cover fault resolution time. How long does it take to solve a problem? How fast was the guest satisfied with the problem? Now, these are all the things that should come into your KPIs for maintenance. Uptime of critical equipment, all these things should come into your maintenance and engineering, quality assurance. Let's talk about front desk. Now, when we talk about front desk, you agree with me that part of the quality assurance or quality assurance at the front desk cannot be discussed without talking about your check-in and your checkout processes. So when you are developing a quality assurance process for front office, you need to ensure that you put a standard that ensures very swift check-in, swift checkout, billing accuracy, very important. Guest greetings needs to be very, articulated, very well articulated in your quality assurance document. So all these things need to be well articulated and well planned out so that your staff understand what to do. Then when you are setting out the KPIs for the front office, there must be something that checks average check-in time, so your guests should be able to evaluate or give feedback of how fast they were checked in, their check-in time, their complaints, how fast their complaint was handled. Customers should be able, so all this will come under the KPIs. So your KPIs will check how fast these things will handle, the turnaround time of service, how soon customers will be attended to if they actually had any complaint. Now, all these things come under the KPIs of the front office, just to check and ensure that all those other things you put in place is actually being followed and done the way it's supposed to be done. Now, security and safety, I will just quickly brush that off. Emergency procedures, these things, most of us in some of our organizations have never done safety drills before. You've not done emergency procedures before. So if something happens in your facility, your staff don't know what to do because you feel it's not important. So part of your security and safety system should have time for staff to be trained on emergencies such as fire. Now, emergency safety drills, and so you put them, all these things has to be part of your quality assurance so that eventually something happens. Your staff know what to do. Your staff understand what a muster point is. They know in case of fire how to maybe deal with one or two things, just to ensure that you don't have a fire outbreak. And because you have staff that are untrained, they cannot even do the immediate things they can do just to reduce the effect of the fire. Now, so all these things are things you must put in your quality check, that in case of fire, these are the things staff must do. We must train our staff to be able to, fight fire. We must put our staff in such a place that if in case of emergency drill, they know how to talk to the customers, they know how to take them out without causing unnecessary panic within the system. Now, the KPIs for safety and security is that you must be able to check response time to incidents. There must be incident logs and a whole lot of them. Emergency drills, how fast can your staff respond to emergency drills? They must be all these things put into the KPIs to ensure that, staff, you can monitor these things and see if it's actually working or not working. Now, I said I was going to be very fast today and try to wrap this up in record time. Now, in conclusion, as a hospitality manager, quality assurance is your responsibility, not just housekeeping or F&B. You ensure consistency, excellence, and compliance across all departments. Quality assurance is proactive, not reactive. I've said that in the course of this whole thing. You lead continuous improvement initiative. You foster a culture of ownership and accountability. Your goal is that every guest interaction reflects the highest quality standard. Your goal as a manager, as a departmental head, is that every guest interaction must reflect the highest quality standard. Now, let the guests feel the standard in your conversation. Let the guests feel the standard while they talk to every staff. It helps to, re-echo trust and it helps to build confidence and loyalty, on the part of the guests when they know that you pay attention to every details, you pay attention to everything that concerns the guests, their safety and their well-being. So quality assurance is simply a document or a process that ensures that your document, which is an SOP, has a proper monitoring system, has a proper evaluation system, and seeks to ensure that there's improvement where it actually matters. Now, one of the things I would advise you to always do is at the end of the training, please take this resolution very serious for the purpose of for those that actually want to do better in the industry. I commit to upholding the highest standard in all aspects of hotel operations. I'll lead by example, ensure compliance with SOPs, monitor performance using KPIs, implement corrective action, and continuously improve service quality. As a student of Footprint Hospitality Academy, I pledge to make quality assurance the cornerstone of my management practice. Now, let me tell you guys something as I pause and I end here. Now, this training that we are doing for you guys is these are top level management training. Now, we know too well that a lot of you might find it very hard to catch up, and that's why we give avenue for questions to come in. But wherever you don't understand, ask questions. I will definitely try to explain and ensure that everybody is on the same page as regards all these things that we are talking about. But let me end here. But before I end, I'll tell you, quality assurance is something that is important to the well-being of your facility. For you to be able to, for your facility to achieve consistency in service, in performance, quality assurance is something you really need to understand. Okay, so I'll pause there and I'll definitely take questions. Thank you, guys. So I'm open to questions. Kingsley, please go ahead.
All right. Mine is not really a question. I just want to reinforce or restate what you said, right? Everything makes sense, but for most of our middle-level managers to top-level managers, they see the whole idea of SOP and quality assurance as a whole bulk of drafts and blueprints, which is very essential, but they find it difficult. Why? Because what we get to see in the space is many people adopt and hold on to knowledge they already had based on years of experience, based on the environment they find themselves. And that alone hinders you from doing what's supposed to be the culture. I'm saying this to all of us, all right? Because I kind of did I did a question now in my own state, my own environment. I will go to see that we are lacking real potentials. Why? Because people are holding on to what they are used to. They don't want to let go of it and imbibe the real thing or the real culture. I went through the previous class that we had on YouTube. I listened, I shared it to many persons as much as I could, just so they can understand where the industry is heading towards. So I really want to just use this quick seconds to draw all of our attentions to see how we can do this and then make it very flexible so that when someone speaks of your property, for example, Mr. Allen happens to visit any of our property, they see that, okay, fine, what we actually learned is being implemented. That is where we cannot say we are following culture. In academics, we say culture is a way of life. Hospitality is also a way of life for us because of our culture. But it cannot be our culture when we are not applying the quality assurance and the SOP drives. Because these two things, with the previous class about SOP and quality assurance, they mirror each other. In fact, quality assurance helps to mirror SOPs. From all the slides that we have seen, it's a check and balance system. So please, I want to encourage all of us to take this very, very seriously. Thank you, Mr. Allen. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kingsley. Okay, so is there any other question? Please, if there's something you didn't understand, kindly unmute. We still have a little time. That's why I had to hurry that class. Now, what you can also do is at your spare time, try to expatiate on what we've done. It will really help you. To really help you read further. Try to see if you can do more research on quality assurance and tailor it to your brand. Now, like what Kingsley has said, quality assurance and SOPs work hand in hand. Now, so you don't get confused. Quality assurance is not SOP. Quality assurance checks SOP. Now, so without SOP, there can't be quality assurance because there's nothing you're trying to evaluate. So what we are saying is that SOP gives birth to quality assurance because quality assurance is what evaluates and monitors and seeks to improve SOP. So it means it's when you set an SOP. That's the only time you can talk about quality assurance because what quality assurance seeks to do, quality assurance seeks to ensure that that SOP that you've developed, there's consistency, it is done the way it's supposed to be done every time, irrespective of who is on duty. So understand this thing so you don't get confused. Quality assurance is not SOP. Quality assurance seeks to ensure that that SOP that you've developed, there's consistency, it is clearly monitored, and it is well implemented the way it should be implemented. That's what a quality assurance is. So I hope that is very clear. So you don't go and tell someone that quality assurance is SOP. No, quality assurance is not SOP. Without SOP, there's no quality assurance because there's nothing you'll be checking. There's nothing you'll be evaluating. So most times when you walk into a system that you see that this person saved you with groundnut, and the next person that is coming to save you does not save you with groundnut. It is not because there's no SOP, there's an SOP. The problem is that there's an SOP, but there's no quality assurance that seeks to ensure that that SOP is implemented and followed through at every point in time. I hope I have made that very clear so that you leave this training better informed and better equipped.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. No question. This class is very intelligent. Though. Tracy, do you have any question?
People are raising their hands.
Okay. Okay, so please, if you are raising your hand, please unmute your mic. Unmute your mic, please, if your hand is raised. I'm not seeing the hands, oh, Mr. Kingsley.
Okay, I think it's a thumbs up. They are giving you thumbs up. I think that's what they have. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. So, so in the absence of questions, please, I'm seeing 18 people on this class. We will only drop the assessment tomorrow morning after we've taken out people that are not here and everybody that is in back to the group. We are doing that just to sanitize the group, and so we know the number of persons that are actually following and paying attention to this. Like we had said, most of the things that we've done during the course of this training are things that other institutes, other organizations will charge very high. But we want you to learn. The beauty of this whole thing is that once you put them into practice and it works, and you get back to us and tells us it works, that's like a big plus to us because we know that whatever we thought is actually making ways for you or actually giving you a whole lot of accolades. So please, we will do what we are supposed to do. The assessment will be dropped tomorrow. Now, the next 1 week or 2 weeks, we'll try to wrap up with the financial thing that we started, just to be sure that we trigger it down and everybody gets clear understanding. The thumbs up is becoming very plenty. Yeah? Are you guys using thumbs up to wind me? Okay, so
I think that's why they give you thumbs up because everybody's enjoying the class.
Okay, so please, we wanted to put this into practice. What we said the last time is wherever you have issues while trying to implement most of these things, kindly reach out. We will try to see how to help you navigate most of these things and see that you become better. Now, I had said this when we started this whole training. We want everyone here and everyone that is taking this class to be ambassadors of Footprint Hospitality. What we mean by that is that by the time we launch the next cohort, we should be able to tell people that, yes, when I joined the first one, it was very impactful, and this is what you learned. Now, because it's free does not mean that it's not impactful. if you put this to practice, you definitely see clear evidence and see progress. So check the WhatsApp group. I hope you've taken pictures of what we've done, and we look forward to having you guys back, you guys that are here, back on the group as we wrap this in the next 2 weeks. Meanwhile, make sure you prepare your Christmas gift for Footprint Hospitality. And like I said when we started, at the end of these sessions, there will be certifications, but it will be paid for. Training is free, but certification is not free because it has to.
Let us know the amount of
design.
time so that we can start saving for it. Thank you, sir.
That's fine. All right. Thank you so much, guys. And let me allow you. Do have a wonderful evening. We see you guys on Sunday.
Thank
But
you,
please
Mr.
check the
Allen.
group for
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
more information. Thank you, sir. All right. Good night, guys.
Thank you, sir.